Lost World in Windy Valley Part 2. Sonic and the others made a hard landing after going through the portal. Now they're prepared for the sudden change in surroundings. Sonic puts himself up first and asks, "Is everybody okay?" Everybody sounded off a response. Spike looked around, seeing grass, dirt, small windmills, and bits of land being held in the air by giant propellers. "Where are we now?" he wondered. Tails said, "I think this is Windy Valley, but how did we..." He looked back over his shoulder at a small hill, seeing the portal they had come through floating above it. He stood up and spun his tails around, flying up to it, but suddenly closed as he reached its level. He didn't notice something sticking out of the ground behind it where it had been, and flew over to it, asking, "What's this?" Sonic and the others quickly followed up, finding him examining what appeared to be 3 large discs embedded in the ground. "What you got there, Tails?" Sonic asked. Tails, while looking at the strange objects over, replied, "Not sure. It looks ancient, but looks like it's some kind of advanced technology." Sonic looked down to his side to see Twilight and Applejack trying to pull themselves the rest of the way up the hill. He raised them a hand for support. They nodded to him once they were all the way up, and Twilight walked over to Tails asking, "Advanced technology? How can you tell?" Tails said, "Well, we've already found this panel on the side here. It looks like you can see when I open it." The fox slid the panel up, and Twilight saw the inside of the disc was indeed crammed full of machinery. Tails continued, "These look like they've been here for a long time, but this is some really advanced stuff. Kind of like the Bicar's air saucers. They don't even still work." Rainbow Dash spoke, "We don't have time for you to get all technical, Tails. Get out the warp ring and send us back to that temple. We've got to find our friends." Tails said, "I know, Rainbow Dash, but we can't overuse the warp ring. If we use it too frequently, it could burn out on us when we need it. We should..." He stopped mid-sentence as he noticed something, and everybody followed his gaze to see that fog was beginning to roll in. "Dude, where did that fog come from?" Sonic asked. "Why is the fog here in the first place? I thought this place was too windy for that," Knuckles added. "Wait, this seems kind of familiar," Rainbow said, as the fog floated around the hill they were standing on. "What's your mind, Rainbow?" Applejack asked. The Rainbow Maiden Pegasus turned to her and asked, "Remember when we went to get the elements of harmony from the old castle? There was a fog like this when we reached the bridge in front of it." Suddenly, a silky voice spoke from within the fog. "You remember, Rainbow Dash. How sweet of you. So surely you remember us as well." Everybody looked to the side to see 3 Pegasus ponies in dark uniforms fly out of the fog, hovering a short distance away. "The Shadow Bolts!" Rainbow exclaimed. The 3 Pegasi looked very similar to the ones that Nightmare Moon had appeared as, but each of these Shadow Bolts had noticeable differences about them. The apparent leader of the Shadow Bolts had a tooth slightly poked out of her mouth. The Shadow Bolt to her right had bat wings instead of regular Pegasus wings, and the Shadow Bolt on her left had blue feathery wings. "Shadow Bolts?" Sonic asked. Before Twilight could say anything, Rainbow replied, "Supposedly they're the best flyers in the Everfree Forest. When I was fixing the bridge so every pony could reach the old castle, they appeared out of the fog when I mentioned I wanted to join the Wonderbolts and tried to get me to abandon my friends." Tails looked at the Shadow Bolts and noticed he didn't even flinch at the accusation. "Well, what are they doing here? We're nowhere near the Everfree Forest and we're all kind of together," he commented. The lead Shadow spoke. "How right you are, young fox. To be perfectly honest, we've all been waiting for you. We have a proposal for you. We are curious." Sonic crossed his arms. "What kind of proposal?" The lead Shadow Bolt replied, "We challenge you to all race all through this valley. To make it more interesting, it'll be a tag team race where anything goes." Rainbow grinned. "Sounds simple enough to me." Twilight spoke. "I don't know about this, Rainbow Dash. Something doesn't seem right here." The Shadow Bolt leader asked, "What's there to worry about? If you win, you all get to go back to where you were. If you lose, you'll have to get back on your own. It's that simple." Applejack asked, "You sure about that? You ain't gonna go back on your word of winning?" When the lead Shadow Bolt replied as she went, the reserve pony said, "Alright, I'm in." Knuckles spoke up. "Hold on. I'd just like to point out that, since we got Rainbow Dash's tortoise with us, we have an odd number here. If we're going to do a tag team race, somebody's going to have to stay behind.
Tails headed up to his and said, you're right, Knuckles. Now that you mention it, chances would be in our favor, seeing as there would be 4 tag teams to 3 Shadow Balls.
Sonic held up his hands. Now hold on, everybody. I think we can work this out quickly and easily. I just need to know something. He looked at the leader of Shadow Balls and asked, when you say anything goes, do you really mean that? The leader nodded, so Sonic continued. So say someone who was sitting this race out suddenly wanted to be a part of it. They could join in, right? The Shadow Ball leader made a gesture like she was rolling her eyes, but said, actually, they actually thought they had a chance of catching up. Sure, whatever. Have you got any more pointless questions, or can we reach out and get to the race? Sonic replied, I'm good. Just give us a minute or two to work this out. A few minutes later, Sonic, Knuckles, Rainbow Dash, Tank, Applejack, Spike, and the Shadow Balls face forward, looking at the ground track that the non-flyers would be taking through Windy Valley. Sonic was paired up with Knuckles. Rainbow Dash obviously had Tank, and Applejack had chosen Spike as their partner. All he has to do is hold on tight, Zia said. Tails, Twilight, and Scootaloo, who looked sad, were all still standing on the hill, watching as the other racers got warmed up. Once they were all ready, the Shadow Balls leader spoke. Remember, whoever makes it to the end first wins. Everybody except Tank nodded and lowered themselves to the ground. As he crouched down, Sonic turned his head slightly to look at Tails and gave him a knowing look. The fox nodded in response. The blue hedgehog then looked forward, and, along with everybody else, stopped forward when the Shadow Balls leader said go. Rainbow Dash, Tank, and the Shadow Balls immediately took to the air, while Sonic, Knuckles, and Applejack took off running with Spike, clinging onto Applejack's back for dear life. Tails and Twilight waved to their friends and cheered for them until everyone was out of sight. Once they were gone, they ran over to the disc and stood beside them. After looking at them over for a moment, Tails said, these look like tat, but I'll need to see the whole disc to know for sure, Twilight. Can you help me pull these out of the ground? The Lavender Unicorn replied, sure thing, Tails. Her magenta aura surrounded her horn, and that same aura surrounded the 3 discs. Twilight's magic pulling them out of the ground a moment later. She looked at them as she sat them down and nodded, wow, these do appear to be in good shape. She looked back at Scootaloo and noticed the young filly was looking around the direction of the race longingly. Twilight ventured, Scootaloo, you okay? The young Pegasus glanced back over his shoulder, giving the unicorn an indignant look as he said, no, I'm not okay, Twilight. I want to be Rainbow Dash's tag team partner, but she chose her pet turtle over me. Twilight blinked. Oh, right. Well, like you said, Tank is her pet tortoise. She probably feels more comfortable having Tank where she could see him, rather than leaving him with us. Scootaloo looked away sadly. He said, you know that's not the reason, Twilight. She's taking me under her wing, agreed to be like my sister to me, but still chose her pet turtle over me because he can fly. It's as simple as that. Tails' lesson. Tails spoke. Maybe on the surface. Scootaloo looked back at the 2-tailed fox to see him giving her a look that said, while appearing to be calm, completely serious. Before she could respond, Tails asked, is being unable to fly really the only thing that matters? Or is Rainbow Dash so close-minded that she makes you think that's all that matters? Scootaloo was confused at the question. What? She asked. Tails said, you know, ever since I first saw Sonic running, he's been my idol. Fast, heroic, cool. Those are the qualities I saw in Sonic. And even if I could be as fast as him, I wanted to be just like him. Scootaloo asked, so, I just want to be like Rainbow Dash, what's your point? Tails replied, I knew that. Anyway, during our early adventures together, Sonic was always in charge and I was his sidekick. I was happy with that, but it wasn't until later I realized just how much I'd been depending on him. When Station Square was in danger of being destroyed by Dr. Eggman, Sonic and I had been separated, so it was up to me to stop him. That's when I realized I couldn't rely on him forever, and there are things that I could do that no one else can. Understanding this and being myself helped me find the courage to stand up to Dr. Eggman myself. In the end, I realized I could still aspire to be like Sonic, but I could also be a hero in my own right. So I said, that's a great story, Tails. Is that why you're, who you are today? Tails nodded. Absolutely. Sonic helped raise me and showed me all sorts of things.
But until that time, I never realized that if I just tried to be like Sonic, I would never be able to find out who I really am. I have to be the best I can be. That means pursuing what I like to do, not just what Sonic likes to do. You know what the Skulu said? That's what you need to do, Skulu. You want to change Rainbow Dash's view of you? You need to show her you're not just an idol for fans. You gotta show her that, while there are things you two are alike, there are things you could do better than her. Skulu asked, but hell, how could I do that? Tails gestured to the disc on the ground and said, well, here's a good place to start. You may not have noticed that look earlier, but Sonic is taking Twilight's business about this race seriously. He wants somebody to be ready with a plan B in case he or the others can't handle things. Maybe you can help me and Twilight figure these things out. Have you ever ridden or made anything of your own?
Skulu thought for a moment before saying,
well, I have a scooter of my own, and I once put a parade float together.
Tails smiled.
Perfect! Come over here. Any help you can find, I would really appreciate it.
Skulu finally found her smile and ran over to Tails and Twilight, eager to help. Soon. Applejack scraped her hooves across the ground, coming to a stop just in front of a gate where the path seemed to end. Nora's Earth Pony looked around, but aside from the leaves seeming to blow in an unusual manner past the gate, there was nothing to indicate she was supposed to go. Looking as he saw Rainbow Dash take the shout bolts that had already flown on ahead. She growled, well, this is just great. Now what we're supposed to do? Spike suggested, maybe those leaves mean something? Applejack looked back at him and asked, like what, Spack? The baby dragon shrugged. I don't know. Look at them. Why would they? Looking back over his shoulder, he saw Sonic and Knuckles approaching and called, hey guys! Applejack quickly guided their way and called, hold up, y'all. There's nowhere to go beyond here. As they got closer, Knuckles calls back, what are you talking about? Of course it is. Sonic just said, just watch. Before Applejack could eject, both Sonic and Knuckles leapt over her and Spike, going through the gate and landing on the invisible path the wind was making. Applejack and Spike watched with wide eyes as they followed the invisible road. As he and Knuckles passed by, Sonic called, the wind is making the path! Just follow the leaves and you'll be fine! Applejack looked back at Spike and smirked. Guess you were right after all, darling. Spike gave her a satisfied look at that. So he then looked forward and said, alright, let's get back in the race! She took a determined yet careful step beyond the front gate, and her hoof touched the invisible path. Feeling more confident now, she did as Sonic suggested and followed the swirling leaves, soon reaching the end of the path. Once he was back on the solid, visible ground, she ran as fast as he could. She wasn't about to fall too hard behind Sonic and Knuckles after all. While Sonic, Knuckles, Applejack, and Spike continued through the valley on foot. Rainbow Dash and Tank had firm glass on the lead, keeping a reasonable gap between them and the shout bolts. So he had to slow down a little so Tank could keep up, but it wasn't enough that she could risk losing her lead. A short while after the race had begun, she looked back to see the shout bolts were still trying to catch her, then looked down to see Sonic and Knuckles hanging back, while Applejack and Spike brought up the rear. So he looked forward, closed her eyes as he grinned.
Heh! Just as we thought! We've got this, Tank!
Her happy reverie was cut off when the wind beat around her began to pick up.
Hey, who's causing all this wind? Why is the sky getting dark?
She wondered. Now on the ground, the others were starting to notice the sudden weather changes as well. I don't like the look of this here weather, Applejack called over the wind. Sonic, you've been here before. What's going on? Sonic Knuckles asked. Let's just say I think it's time to twist and shout, Sonic called back. Before anyone could ask what he meant, the wind suddenly picked up, and they were all swept off the ground. Up above, both Rainbow Dash and Tank were knocked off course and pulled through the air along with the rest of the group towards a large tornado. The leader of the shout smirked as everyone was pulled inside, both her and their teammates seemingly unaffected by the strong winds as they fluttered in place, waiting. On the inside of the tornado, Knuckles, Spike, and Ponies were surprised to suddenly come into contact with hard ground. Sonic, while he did land a little hard, was as surprised as they were. Applejack, while clapping a hoof over her hat, raised her head and yelled, "What the hell is this?" Sonic called to her. "Seems like this tornado's hovering around the valley. We're probably inside right now," Knuckles said. "That's right. So how do we get out of the eye?" Sonic pointed up and said, "We have to go straight up. Now let's see us will be pulled back in that way. Come on!" Everybody was standing up again, and Spike was on Applejack's back. They all followed Sonic as he began to lean towards the top of the tornado. Luckily, the tornado had picked up some springs as well, so they made use of these to flutter them up. When they reached the end of the path, they found one final spring waiting for them. Upon seeing it, Sonic said, "There! We should be close enough to the top for that spring to get us out!" Rena started flying at that, saying, "Okay, you guys do that. I'll fly on ahead. Make sure there's nothing waiting for us." Before she could reach the top of the tornado, however, Shadow Ball suddenly flew into the side of the tornado and intercepted her, the leader headbutting her in the stomach. As Rainbow wheezed at the sudden attack, the leader flew up and brought her hose down on her head, sending the Science Pegasus back down to Earth. Sonic managed to catch her and, after she recovered enough, she shouted up, "Hey, what's the big idea?" The Shadow Ball's leader saw her smirk. "What are you talking about? I didn't do anything wrong." Applejack forced Mike off her back and ran towards the spring, shouting, "Yeah, right, you didn't! You ain't allowed to attack us!" She then leapt on the spring and bounced up towards the three Pegasi. Before she could even get up to her level, however, one of the two silent Pegasi zoomed underneath her, causing her to look down. When she was looking down, the air flew by and punched her in the side of the face. The leader flew down and kicked her in the back, sending her down the same way she did to Rainbow Dash. Knuckles caught her in her arms and looked down at her, asking, "Are you alright?" Applejack looked a little winded after taking 2 consecutive hits, but she replied, "I'll be okay. I just can't believe they do something like this." Shadow Ball's leader called, "Have you forgotten already? The rules for this race are anything goes. That means it's perfectly fine to attack the other racers." She then sparked down Sonic as he added, "Yes, I did mean anything." Sonic set Rainbow down as Knuckles did the same with Applejack. Rainbow then called up, "Well then, don't it means he got us beat. There's way more of us than you. We'll be able to slip past you." Shadow Ball's leader chuckled. "Oh, I doubt that, Rainbow Dash. You're the one capable of flying here. The rest of them need to use that spring to get close enough. And your flying pet is hardly worth anything worrying about, since if it tries to get past us, it won't be flying very long." Sonic noted, "You seem pretty confident." The Shadow Ball's leader replied, "Indeed I am. After all, Rainbow Dash has no one to support her in the air. It'll be easy to knock the rest of you back down. Maybe if you had another worthy flyer, or a little magic, or even someone that just wanted to help, you could get past, but you don't." Suddenly, they all heard Tails exclaim,
"That sounds like IQ!"
Curiously, the Shadow Balls looked down, her eyes wide in shock. Tails, Twilight, Scootaloo were coming up on the tornado on the saucers that he'd been working on earlier. Before they could react, Tails suddenly shot up and slammed into the leader, pushing her up on his arm, while Twilight created a force field around herself as he hit one of the other Shadow Bolts. Scootaloo caught the remaining Shadow Ball on the side with her saucer. All 3 of them continued going up with the Shadow Bolts, flying out of the tornado, while everyone else, aside from Tank, looked up in shock. Caught totally by surprise, Sonic simply grinned, "Way to go, Tails!" He then turned and ran towards the spring, calling back, "Come on, guys, let's get out of here." He then leapt on the spring and shot towards the top of the tornado, everybody else following a moment later. The spring was powerful enough to shoot everyone up out of the top of the tornado. After several seconds of going up, they all began to fall down, heading for a series of spiraling aerial tracks. As he failed, Tails pulled up alongside Sonic. The Blue Hedgehog looked at the Fox and held up his thumb and said, "Awesome job, Tails! I had a feeling you guys could do it."
Tails smiled back. "Hey, I learned from the best, didn't I?"
And Twilight and Scootaloo were
"Were big help as well."
He then grabbed Sonic's arm again to spin Tails around, saying,
"Here, you can use this. I don't need it."
Sonic grinned. "Thanks, buddy." Tails pulled him in the saucer as Fox's tails lifted him off of it, and Sonic moving his legs so he can ride it like a board. Twilight and Scootaloo, meanwhile, caught Spike and Applejack respectively on their saucers, while Knuckles began to glide, and Rainbow Attack started flying again. As they began to soar over the aerial area, Twilight looked up and noticed 3 figures flying down towards them.
"Look out, everybody! The Shadow Balls are coming back!"
she exclaimed. Knuckles growled, "They're looking for a fight. They messed with the right kinda." Sonic said, "Let's spread out a little. Make it hard for them to stay together." Everybody nodded and began to move apart. Knuckles climbing above Applejack and Scootaloo, Tails staying behind Twilight and Spike, Sonic and Rainbow Dash and the Tank moving away together. The Shadow Balls broke apart too, the leader aiming for Sonic. Rainbow saw her coming and turned around in midair, flying up to intercept her. The Saiyan Pegasus flew past, but Shadow Ball had little trouble dodging her while staying on course. Sonic looked back over his shoulder to see her coming at him, and he grabbed Tank in his arm, moving to the side and letting her fly past him. The uniformed Pegasus then flapped her wings as she turned around, moving up to hover in front of Sonic and growled, You. This was all your idea, wasn't it? Sonic smiled. Mm-hmm. What, you thought I was asking you what anything goes meant for the fun of it? I try to take my friend's worries seriously, you know? The Shadow Ball growled in response and suddenly shot towards him, intending to knock him off his saucer. Sonic simply let go of the tank, letting the torch's counter activate. Left over to tackle, he made his balance as he landed on top of his saucer. Turning around, Sonic saw that the Shadow Ball leader had come to a stop and was now turning around to charge at him again. Sonic braced himself and, when he was right in front of him, brought his fist up in an uppercut, stopping her and knocking her back up. It was at this point Rainbow Dash came back around, tackling the leader from behind and pushing her down. Sonic thought to himself, looks like Dash can handle her. I better fill in for her and check on the others. Not far away, none of the other Shadow Balls was flying alongside Twilight and Spike. Finally he spoke. There are no sources of energy in this valley. You used your magic to power these ridiculous contraptions, didn't you? Twilight nodded. That's right. And this only required a little bit of magic to get them full capacity. I must admit, I was surprised my magic had any effect on them at all. Pleasantly surprised, of course. The Shadow Ball said, well, here's something to make that far less pleasant. He flew closer to her saucer and stopped to hoof down on the edge of it, causing her to tear. This in turn caused Twilight's legs to scare as he tried to realign with it. While she was doing that, the Shadow Ball brought his hoof back and punched her across the face. She would have fallen off had Spike not seen it coming, did everything he could for keeping her knocked off. Once he was properly balanced again, Spike glared at the Shadow Ball and asked, What the hey, man? The Shadow replied, What are you getting all worked up about? You're already told anything is allowed here. Spike growled, Why I oughta... The Shadow Ball smirked, Oh, please. You're a little limited up here, seeing as you're nowhere near a stable footing. About the only thing you could do that wouldn't upset things would be to talk. And unlike your friends, words don't hurt me. As Twilight's horn lit up, and her magenta aura surrounded her left saddlebag. Is that what you think? She asked as the flap opened and levitated the book inside out. She then flung out, saying, Well, what do you think now? As he spoke, the foot connected quickly with the side of his face, jerking his head to the side and knocking him away. The Shadow Ball grunted in pain at the sudden action and shook its head. And then glared at Twilight and growled, Why, you little... Before he could finish, the book came flying at him and began striking him several times, seemingly punching him. He then managed to recover and moved the book around the book. Before he could go after Twilight and Spike, Niels flew up from underneath him and punched him in the side of the face. Sonic could see that they had things under control, so he turned his attention to Knuckles, Applejack, and Scootaloo. Applejack and Scootaloo were helping Knuckles stay up, allowing him to land on and leap off their saucer whenever he tried to attack the third Shadow Bolt. While he was having trouble landing a hit due to the Shadow Ball being able to fly quicker than Knuckles could glide, Sonic noticed that Applejack wasn't arguing with the Echidna. Looks like between the temple, the race, and now this little scuffle, those two are starting to get along, he thought to himself. Suddenly he saw Scootaloo make a risky move. After Knuckles made another attack attempt and the Shadow Ball's back turned to her, before Applejack could move to catch Knuckles, Scootaloo leapt off the saucer, falling towards the Shadow Ball. The uniformed Pegasus turned around in enough time to get her to see her coming. However, it flew out of reach. Scootaloo flailed her arms and was about to start screaming when Sonic suddenly flew under her, caught her with his arm, saying, Gotcha! Scootaloo looked up and stared.
Thanks, Sonic.
The Blue Hedgehog replied, No problem. That was a pretty risky stunt you just pulled. Scootaloo went away, sure that he was going to lecture her. So he surprised her by asking, Feel like giving it another try? Scootaloo looked at him and smiled. You had the right idea. The guy just caught on too quickly. So, what do you say? Scootaloo looked up at him for a moment before nodding.
Yeah, I'm not ready to give up. I want help too.
Sonic grinned. That's the spirit. Hang on! He held her up onto his right shoulder and turned his saucer around, hanging back for Knuckles and Applejack, who had resumed trying to hit the Shadow Ball after they saw Sonic catch Scootaloo. As he got closer, Applejack attempted to buck the Shadow Ball after Knuckles missed again, almost losing her balance when her legs met nothing but air. Thinking his chance, Sonic performed a boost with his saucer, and the Shadow Ball seemed to see him closer. He quickly flew to the Hedgehog's right, but as he did, Sonic called, Now, Scootaloo! The young filly leapt from his shoulder, saying, I'm on it! Seconds later, the Shadow Ball suddenly felt two small legs wrapping around his head, two orange hooves blocking his view. He began to flail, trying to shake Scootaloo off. But in the midst of his failing, Applejack flew up and bumped him in the gut, knocking him away Scootaloo let go as soon as the hit connected, landing back on the saucer while Knuckles, having landed on a nearby floating piece of land, sent him flying with an uppercut. The random kiddo was about to glide over to Applejack and Scootaloo when he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. Turning to look, he saw a portal floating above a sizable hunk of land that wasn't too far away. He turned, and while pointing with his fist, yelled as loud as he could, "Hey guys! The fence line's over there!" Sonic looked to where Knuckles was pointing, and, upon seeing the portal, called, "Hey, not bad, Knuckles!" He then called to the others, "You heard it, you kid and everybody! We gotta get out of here!" Rainbow Dash whined,
"Oh, do we have to?"
Tails dodged a punch from the south ball and yelled,
"Rainbow Dash, did you forget we're supposed to be racing anyway?"
Twilight, as she called her butt back after using it to hit the shadow ball in the head, added, "Yeah, plus I don't know how much longer these discs can stay airborne." Rainbow sighed.
"Ugh, fine."
She then headbutted the leader of the shadow balls away from her, flew after the others, Orome making a beeline for the portal. Recovering from the strikes he received, the shadow balls regrouped and raced after, flew after them. Sonic glided first and hopped off his shoulder, heading towards the portal. He stopped in front of it and stood to its side, waving a hand as Knuckles, Rainbow, and Tank landed first, saying, "Go, go, go, go!" The three then went through the portal, followed by Twilight, Spike, and Tails, with Applejack and Scootaloo following them through. Sonic looked to see the shadow balls heading straight for him, quickly led through her after his friends, the portal closing immediately, and afterwards, the shadow balls flying past where it had been. "Oh, come on! You could have had Sonic have a final..." or giving a thumbs up or a victory pose. Come on! The shadow balls came to a stop in midair soon afterwards, and they hovered in place. The leader spoke, her voice drastically changing as he did. "Oh, for goodness sake. Twice now I've had to endure this, and they're still going strong. I'm not going along with this idea anymore. This is what I have to put up with." The group reappeared in the corridor back in the temple they had been exploring. Once they knew where they were, Rainbow Dash walked over to Scootaloo and said,
Listen, Squirt. No, I mean, Scootaloo. Well, you're pretty awesome back there. Not just with helping against the shadow bolts. I'm sure you really helped Tails and Twilight out with their thing, too. And I admit I was acting like a big jerk earlier. Do you think you can forgive me?"
Scootaloo smiled up at her eye and wrapped her legs around Dash's left foreleg.
"Of course I do, Rainbow Dash. Just, if I ask, give me a chance to show you what I can do in the future. Please?"
Rainbow draped her right foreleg around the young filly's back, saying, "Deal." A short distance away, Spike patted Twilight on the side of her left foreleg. She looked down at her and said, "That was pretty cool, Twilight, using your magic to make those things fly. And then that thing with the book. I have to say, I didn't think you used a book for something like that."
Twilight replied, "Well, believe it or not, Spike, doing that allowed me to use less magic than I normally would to defend myself. Not to mention it was designed to be tough enough to endure that sort of thing. Good thing it's a hardcover book, huh?"
They shared a life laugh at that. Nearby, Applejack shook Knuckles' hoof and said, "You did a good job back there, Applejack. And thanks for helping me stay in the air." The Earth Pony replied, "Thank you for catching me back in that tornado, darling. Sorry about what I said before. You're a pretty reliable guy, after all."
Watching all of this were Sonic, Tails, and Tank. Tails turned to Sonic and said, "Looks like everybody worked out everything between them after all."
Sonic nodded. "Yep. Guess those shell balls were good for something after all."
Tails asked, "Speaking of which, didn't they seem kind of, I don't know, really strange? Like the whole point of running into us was just to mess with us?"
Sonic held a hand to his chin. "I guess they were kind of fishy. Oh well, I'm sure if anything was up, we'll figure it out sooner or later." Tails gave a sigh at that. After a few minutes, the group got back together and they began making their way. "I'm making my way! I'm making my way!" Down the corridor. When they reached the end of the corridor, they found themselves in the center of the ruins, standing on a short pathway with two small ponds on their sides. Sonic pointed to the end of the path and said, "Look!" Everybody looked where he was pointing to see four familiar figures trapped beneath the mural at the end.
"Fluttershy! An angel!"
Twilight, Rainbow Dash, Applejack, and Scootaloo gasped.
"A cheese!"
Tails and Knuckles exclaimed. Everybody hurried down the path and up the small steps at the end. After examining each of them, they were all relieved to see that, although Cream and Fluttershy looked scared, they were just frozen. After a moment, Tails looked at the mural and asked,
"Hey, Sonic, up there, isn't that
Sonic looked up and nodded. That's right, Tails. There's Chaos up there. Twilight asked, Who's Chaos? Sonic replied, He's the one the Chaos Emeralds were named after. He used to be a regular Chow, like Cheese here. He gestured to Cream's Chow friend at this. Twilight wrote it off as something she could ask about later as he continued. But he was turned into a water monster when he came into contact with the Master Emerald. From that point on, he became the guardian of the Chow who lived near the Master Emerald's shrine. Spike asked, But how did he get the name Chaos anyway?
Tails answered, I don't know how he got the name originally, but I do know that when Chaos went on his destructive rampage, the Emeralds became known as the Chaos Emeralds since they were connected to him.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Hi, I'm from the future. Care to tell that to the ancients? Applejack asked, Why did he go on a rampage? Was it because of those emeralds? Knuckles spoke, Otherwise. Everyone turned to look at him as he explained. On the ancient past, the leader of my people's tribe wanted to take the Chaos Emeralds and use them against their enemies. When he led his men to the shrine, his daughter, Tikal, tried to stop him, but he refused to listen to her and pushed her aside, injuring the child that Chaos had been protecting in the process. Chaos was angered by this and took the Chaos Emeralds himself, using their negative energy to transform into perfect chaos. He gestured to the mural and continued, He destroyed most of the tribe in his anger, and would have completely destroyed the world, as well as Tikal not sealed both herself and Chaos inside the Master Emerald. He closed his eyes and sighed. As far as I know, I'm the last of my tribe. Maybe even the last of the Echidnas. Twilight looked down and murmured, Oh, Knuckles.
Rainbow Dash asked, So what happened to Chaos? I mean, do you guys have any idea if he ever returned to normal?
Before anyone could answer her, a bright light suddenly came from the mural, blinding everybody. When the light cleared from their vision, and that weird music was playing, do, 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 everybody found they were no longer standing in the temple. Instead, they were standing on a road in a storied city, some water spilling out of nearby buildings. Huh? What's going on here? Applejack exclaimed. Sonic said, Hey, this is kind of like what Tikal did. So he was able to show us this chaos story by warping us to specific points in the past. Twilight gulped. I hope that's what's happening here, because otherwise... Everyone looked at her when she trailed off, and looked up into where she was looking. And Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Spike, and Scootaloo all screamed in shock, while Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles looked surprised. Above them, they could see perfect Chaos himself. The 7 Chaos Emeralds rotating around the top of his head like a halo. The water creatures soon let out a roar. The emeralds were sent away. The blue Chaos Emerald landing nearby. Everyone looked as the emerald clattered against the road for a second, before stopping and turning gray. Looking up, they saw Tikal looking up at Chaos. They spoke, Look! He's absorbed the Emerald's power! You must be sealed in the Master Emerald now! How could that help? A new voice spoke up. Turning to look, they all saw a slightly younger Sonic looking at Tikal. The Sonic of the past continued, It won't change how it feels inside, will it? His heart will still remain in turmoil, and his anger just won't vanish! He'll just be trapped forever! Tikal asked, What choice do we have? Past Sonic was silent for a moment, and last they heard Amy call, Hey, Sonic! They all turned to look to see the pink hedgehog running past Sonic, who had said her name. She came to a stop and held one of the gray Chaos Emeralds out past him. Here, take this! Seconds later, past Tails, past Knuckles showed up. Hey guys, what's up? I would like to thank this Vic for letting me basically read and do one of my favorite Supersonic moments of all time. Thank you, Fick.
Does you usually hate it when fanfics just transcribe the game or movie?
Yeah. But it's Sonic, Trixie. I gotta make an exception.
Pastel spoke. Chaos only used the negative power of the emeralds. Sonic, you should be able to harness the real power.
Pastel said, as much as I hate to admit it, I think Tails might have it right about this. All of a sudden, people hiding in damaged buildings began to chant and cheer Sonic's name. Above all the cheering, Pastel said,
Negative forces aren't the only way to empower the Chaos Emeralds. Our positive feelings towards each other can make them work. Our hearts together form an awesome power.
Sonic killed all 7 Chaos Emeralds in his arm, and in a moment, a light erupted from within his body, forcing the time-traveling group to cover their eyes. When they opened them again, Spike and the ponies looked on in shock. Past Sonic had changed into Super Sonic, his feet hovering above the ground, a yellow aura surrounding him. Thunder, rain, and lightning, open up your heart and it'll be all red! Oh, sorry. I got some Sonic Adventure to play later. After a moment, Super Sonic rose off the ground and began to fly towards perfect chaos. At that point, the world faded in light around the time-traveling group. When everybody's eyes opened next, they found themselves standing in front of the old temple, along with Cream, Cheese, Fluttershy, and Angel. Twilight looked around and asked,
"What was that?" Tails suggested, "Maybe it was the call, showing us a vision of the recent past. What we saw was when Chaos turned on Dr. Eggman after he was released from the Master Emerald, gained the power of all 7 Chaos Emeralds."
Rainbow asked, "But what happened to Chaos? And what was the Sonic at the end?"
Elzak yelled,
"That yellow form was on the windows in the dark hallway."
Tails explained, "That was Super Sonic. The form Sonic takes when he uses the power of all 7 Chaos Emeralds. With the power of the Emeralds, he was able to defeat Chaos and calmed his anger. Chaos is called, then returned to the Master Emerald to live in peace."
Knuckles said, "The only time we see Chaos with the call these days is when the world is in great danger."
Twilight sighed, "Wow, that's a lot of information to take in."
Sonic said, "Well, don't dwell too much on it right now. We still have to save both our worlds from that weird monster, right?" Everybody looked at him and nodded. Tails then brought out the warp ring and activated. The group set through it, taking Fluttershy, Angel, Cream, and Cheese with them. Fluttershy, Angel, and Cream and Cheese restored. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da! Bum, bum, bum! Ooh, let's see the score. Ching, ching, ching. C rank! Gotta play through this again. Yes, I'm going on an all-emblem hunt on this. Second layer, they were all standing in front of Fluttershy's coyotes. As they watched, the color came back to Fluttershy's home and surrounding area. The animals being brought back as well. Applejack, Twilight, and Rainbow Dash, Spike, Scootaloo, and Tank set himself on the ground, all went to Fluttershy and Angel expectantly. A second layer, the color began to creep up the body of the cream-colored Pegasus as well as Angel. As soon as he was fully colored again, Fluttershy blinked and quickly looked around before dropping down and putting her hose on her head, shaking. Angel also looked around in shock, but soon walked over to Fluttershy and beat his hind leg on her side. Fluttershy soon raised a hoof and looked down, then slowly sat up and asked in her soft voice,
"Angel?"
Everybody exclaimed, "Fluttershy!" The side Pegasus reeled back at the sudden exclamation, but quickly calmed down when she realized it was coming from her friends.
"Oh, girls! Spike!"
Fluttershy exclaimed, launching herself at her friends. Regarding her group hug, the pink-maned Pegasus sobbed,
"I was so scared. So dark and scary and lonely. I'm glad to see all of you again."
Spike and the girls patted her reassuringly. Rainbow Dash saying, "It's okay, Fluttershy. You were just having an out-body experience. But you're back now. You're safe." Elzak added, "Twilight, Spike, and all had similar experiences. So don't worry, Sugar Cube. You weren't the only one." Fluttershy began to calm down her friend's words, but soon perked up when she heard Cream say,
"Thanks for saving me, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles. It was scary in the dark, but I tried to be brave."
Fluttershy got to see Cream standing in front of the trio with her child friend Cheese, fluttering alongside her.
"Choo-choo!"
Sonic was giving the rabbit a thumbs up. Tails had a happy look on his face. Knuckles nodded to her while having his hands on his hips. Fluttershy gave a loud gasp and suddenly broke out into a group hug. Knocking her friends aside, she sped towards the new animals. She skidded and stopped in front of the group. Everybody looking at her as he said,
"Oh my goodness! You're all... I wasn't... Oh my!"
She began to examine Sonic first.
"You're a hedgehog, right? I didn't know hedgehogs could be blue. Oh my! Your claws look so sharp, and those red shoes, they go so nicely with your fur."
She then moved on to Tails.
"Oh, you're a fox, and you have 2 tails. Are you one of those mystical foxes I've read about?"
As the side Pegasus continued their examinations, Elzak said, "Well, boy, I've never seen Fluttershy this excited meeting new animals." Twilight shrugged. "Well, she was kind of like this when she first met Spike." Spike proudly declared, "Yeah, I was the first baby dragon she ever met. Except for that child thing, she's probably never seen animals like those guys before." Fluttershy was getting the Cream and Spike fans talking.
"Oh, Such a cute rabbit, such long ears, and what a beautiful dress. And you.
She turned to Cheese and reared up on her hind legs, grabbing the child with her forelegs before saying,
I've never seen anything like you before, but you're so cuddly and cute.
Tails spoke.
Hi, you're Fluttershy, right?
The green Pegasus gasped, releasing Cheese from the hug. She asked,
You can talk too? Oh, you can talk?
When everyone nodded, Fluttershy held up a hope to the side of her head and let out a soft,
oh,
before falling back onto her back, unconscious. This fic is just going to have me run the whole gamut of voice ranges I could do, isn't it?